Not every horror story comes from haunted houses or abandoned hospitals. Sometimes, they begin in the most ordinary places. This story was shared by a TikTok creator who isn't known for making scary content. His page is filled with normal daily vlogs about running his small neighborhood convenience store. No ghost hunting, no creepy challenges, just everyday life. That's exactly why what happened next terrified not only him, but thousands of people who watched his videos. According to him, everything started a few weeks before he uploaded the footage. Strange things kept happening inside his store. Small objects would fall off the shelves for no reason. Products that he clearly remembered placing in one spot would mysteriously appear somewhere else. At first, he blamed customers, then he blamed himself. But eventually, things became impossible to explain. One evening after closing the shop, he decided to record a short TikTok video while locking the front gate. As he was speaking to the camera, something completely unexpected happened.
You know, I'm the only one. Bro, what the fuck is that? Oh shit.
The heavy metal gate suddenly slammed shut on its own. There wasn't a single customer nearby. No strong wind, no one standing outside. Startled, he immediately reached for the gate to open it again. The moment his hand touched the handle, he described feeling an intense burning sensation shoot through his fingers and up his arm. He quickly pulled his hand away, convinced maybe the metal had somehow overheated. But when he opened the gate and searched the entire store, there was absolutely nobody inside. The next morning, things became even stranger. He woke up with 4 deep scratch marks running across the back of his hand. They looked almost identical to fresh fingernail marks. The skin around them burned so badly that he could barely move his fingers. He had no memory of scratching himself. That same afternoon, while serving customers, boxes suddenly slid off the shelves by themselves. Glass bottles tipped over without anyone touching them. Merchandise scattered across the floor as if someone invisible had swept an arm across the shelves. Customers rushed outside in panic, leaving him completely alone inside the store. His business was his only source of income. Closing the shop wasn't an option, but deep down, he knew something wasn't right. Since nobody believed him, he decided to leave his phone recording inside the store overnight. He wanted proof. The next morning, he watched the footage, expecting to see rats, a thief, maybe even a camera glitch. Instead, he noticed something that made him stop breathing. Just a few seconds after midnight, the locked entrance gate slowly opened by itself. No one appeared in the doorway. The camera captured the gate opening, but whoever or whatever came inside never appeared on screen. The recording continued for several minutes. Nothing else happened, but somehow, the gate quietly closed again on its own. That night, after returning home, he hoped everything was finally over. It wasn't. As he walked toward his front door, he noticed one of the upstairs bedroom lights blinking on, then off, over and over again. He clearly remembered turning every light off before leaving that morning. At first, he reached for his phone to call the police, but then he hesitated. What exactly would he tell them? That lights were flashing by themselves? He slowly stepped inside the house. Every room downstairs was silent. No signs of forced entry, no footsteps, no voices. Yet the blinking upstairs continued, perfectly steady, as if someone was waiting for him to come closer. He climbed halfway up the stairs, then stopped. The hallway felt unnaturally cold. The blinking light continued behind a closed bedroom door. He reached toward the handle, but his hand froze. Every instinct in his body told him not to open that door. According to him, he stood there for nearly 20 minutes, staring at the handle, unable to move. Eventually, fear won. He walked back outside, locked the front door from the outside, and spent the rest of the night sitting in his car until sunrise. He says he never entered that room again without someone else beside him. To this day, he still uploads normal videos, But if you look closely, you'll notice one thing. He never records inside that bedroom anymore. So here's the question. Was this nothing more than a chain of strange coincidences? Or did something leave the store and follow him all the way home?
Nobody's in there.
What if I told you? Animals can sometimes notice things that humans never will. Dogs.
Josie. Josie, what's going on?
Horses. Even cows. They all have one thing in common. People have been reporting strange behavior from them for centuries. But this story is different because whatever these animals were staring at, nobody else could see it. According to the homeowner, everything began only days after his grandparents were buried in a small family graveyard just a few feet from the farmhouse. It wasn't some abandoned cemetery hidden deep in the woods. This was their own property. His grandparents had spent their entire lives caring for these animals. The horse followed them everywhere. The family dog slept beside them every night. Even the old cow would walk over whenever they called her name. So after they passed away, the family decided to bury them close to home, believing it would keep them near the place they loved most. For the first few days, everything seemed normal. Every morning, instead of walking toward the barn, it would slowly make its way to the graveyard, stand perfectly still, and stare at one specific grave for hours. It didn't move. It didn't react when anyone called its name. It simply stood there like it was watching someone. A few days later, the family dog started doing the exact same thing.
Josie, what's going on?
Soon, every animal on the property had developed the same disturbing routine. They would all gather around the graveyard, completely silent, staring at the same place. That's when the strange noises began. Almost every night, someone would knock on the front gate. 3 slow knocks, then silence. Every single time the homeowner rushed outside with a flashlight, there was nobody there. No footprints, no neighbors, nothing. One night, he decided to review the security camera footage. At first, everything looked completely normal. Then, for less than a second, a dark figure sprinted across the edge of the camera before disappearing behind the graves. He replayed the clip over and over, convinced it had to be a person. But there was one problem. No one ever came back out. The following night, the cow suddenly let out the loudest cry the family had ever heard. It was standing beside the graves, staring into the darkness. Concerned neighbors grabbed flashlights and searched every inch of the property. They found nothing. No broken fence, no wild animals, no trespassers. The homeowner walked back toward the house, relieved that it was probably nothing, until he stepped through the front door. Out of the corner of his eye, he saw a dark shadow glide across the hallway behind him. He spun around instantly. The hallway was empty, but the overwhelming feeling that someone had walked into the house with him refused to go away. That was the moment he decided he couldn't stay there much longer. Even today, he says he has no idea whether the animals were grieving, protecting the family from something, or watching someone who never actually left. So here's the question. If animals really can see things that humans can't, what do you think they were looking at? This story happened on February 6th, 2025. That night, I wasn't at my own house. I was staying in my uncle's village because I had gone there for some family work. The village was quiet, surrounded by open fields, and there were dozens of stray dogs that roamed the streets every night. Since the weather was unusually warm, I decided to sleep alone on the rooftop. Sometime after midnight, I suddenly woke up to the sound of dogs barking, then screaming. It wasn't just one or two. Almost every dog nearby had started running in different directions, as if they were trying to escape something. I figured it was probably a thief, or maybe a wild animal wandering through the village. I ignored it, rolled over, and went back to sleep. The next morning, I woke up to terrible news. Several stray dogs had been found dead. Even worse, my own dog, Lucy, was one of them. After burying her, I returned home completely heartbroken. Later that afternoon, I noticed the CCTV monitor in the living room. That's when I realized the cameras should have recorded everything that happened the night before. I immediately opened the footage. At first, nothing looked unusual. If you're watching it for the first time, you'll probably think there's absolutely nothing there. That's exactly what I thought too. But then I replayed it and watched the final few seconds more carefully. Keep your eyes on the area I've highlighted. The dogs suddenly stop. Then every single one of them turns toward the exact same spot at the same time. A second later, something walks past the edge of the camera. It wasn't clearly visible, just a dark figure crossing the road. One dog started barking directly at it, then charged toward it without hesitation. Seconds later, that dog disappeared from the frame. By the next morning, it was found dead. I replayed that footage over and over, hoping I had missed something, but every time, I saw the exact same thing. Even today, I still can't explain what those dogs were really looking at that night. I'm a motorcycle rider, so my routine is the opposite of most people. I spend almost every night riding through the city, and during the day, I usually sleep. February 11th, 2025 started like any other day. I got home early in the morning after my ride, ate something, and went straight to bed. When I woke up that evening, I was getting ready for another ride. Before leaving, I checked the live feeds from the security cameras around my house, just like I always do. I looked at the camera outside the front door first. Everything seemed perfectly normal. Then I checked the camera inside my bedroom. Nothing unusual there either. Finally, I opened the dining room camera, and that's when something strange happened. Instead of showing the footage, the screen displayed a camera error. I thought it was just a technical glitch, so I refreshed the recording and skipped forward a few seconds. This time the video loaded, but what I saw instantly made my heart race. In the far corner of the room, something appeared to be moving. It looked like two dark, human-shaped figures slowly pacing back and forth. They weren't walking normally. Their movements felt unnatural, almost as if they were trapped inside the recording itself. Then both figures suddenly stopped and seemed to turn toward the camera at the exact same time. I immediately checked every other camera in the house, but none of them showed anything unusual. That's when I realized the error message had only appeared on the dining room camera, the same camera where those figures appeared. I showed the footage to a few friends. Some laughed and said it was probably just a camera glitch, but others became completely serious. One of them told me that years ago, People had warned him not to stay in that room alone at night because they believed something unexplained wandered through that part of the house after midnight. I honestly don't know what I captured on that camera. Maybe it was corrupted footage, or maybe it wasn't. But one thing is certain, I never slept in that room again. I moved into a different room the very next day. After watching the footage over and over, I still can't explain what those two figures really were. At first, I honestly thought it was just another random animal video. Nothing about it seemed unusual, and I almost clicked away after the first few seconds. But something made me keep watching. As the video got closer to the end, I suddenly felt this strange chill run down my spine, like I wasn't alone anymore. Later that night, my baby started crying uncontrollably. She never cried like that without a reason. I picked her up, walked around the room, and tried everything I could to calm her down. But instead of stopping, she cried even harder, almost like she was looking at something I couldn't see. Then, without warning, she looked toward a small hanging decoration near the window. The moment she stared at it, she became completely silent. It was so sudden that I thought she had finally fallen asleep, so I gently laid her on the bed. A few moments later, I noticed something strange. The hanging decoration began moving on its own. At first, I blamed the wind, but then I realized every window in the room was closed. There wasn't even the slightest breeze. What made it worse, it wasn't swinging naturally. It moved in a strange pattern, forward, then backward, stopping for a second before moving again, almost as if someone invisible was touching it. I couldn't take my eyes off it. The room was completely silent, but that decoration kept moving. I stayed awake for the rest of the night. Even now, I still wonder, was there really someone else in that room with us? Or was my mind playing tricks on me? Have you ever watched a video and felt like something was watching you back? Not because of a jump scare, not because of creepy music, just a feeling you can't explain. That's exactly what happened to one viewer. And according to him, it all started on January 1st, 2025. He said it was around 2 in the morning. Like every other night, he was checking random videos before going to bed. Everything felt completely normal, until suddenly, he felt incredibly sick. His stomach dropped. He felt like he was about to throw up. At first, he thought maybe it was something he ate, but then a strange feeling took over. He couldn't explain it, but it honestly felt like something bad was about to happen. Even so, he clicked on the video. At first, there was absolutely nothing unusual. Just a normal recording. Nothing creepy, nothing suspicious. In fact, if you watched it only once, you'd probably never notice anything strange. But the person who uploaded the clip left a strange message. Watch it again. Pay attention near the end. So he watched it a second time, then a third. Still, nothing. That's when he slowed the video down, and suddenly, everything changed. Hidden deep in the background, something moved for less than a second. He froze. It didn't look like a person, but it definitely wasn't supposed to be there. Then he remembered something that made the whole experience even more disturbing. Earlier that same morning, his 3-year-old dog had unexpectedly passed away. Maybe it was just a coincidence. Maybe it wasn't. He still doesn't know. Curious, he replayed the ending again and again. This time he noticed a faint flash of light, and seconds later, what looked like a human head slowly appeared in the darkness. It wasn't running, it wasn't attacking, it simply turned, as if it was looking directly into the camera before disappearing again. No loud music, no jump scare, just one silent moment that left him completely shaken. To this day, he says he regrets watching that video frame by frame because once he noticed it, he could never unsee it. So now the question is, was it simply a clever editing trick? Or did the camera accidentally capture something that was never supposed to be there? You decide.